Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is John Phillips, co-founder of PredictIt, the stock market for politics. And we're going to be talking about 2024. And we're not even through the first half of 2021, John, but there is no rest for the weary when it comes to politics, is there?
That's right. And in fact, it was just a presidential stumble getting onto Air Force One that turned everybody's attention onto who's going to run in 2024.
And I think the topic is so interesting this week because it's not like we're looking at outliers. We're looking at, will Kamala Harris run in 2024? Will Mike Pence run in 2024? It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out on both sides of the aisle because it doesn't look like they're going for any fresh face this year.
Right. And the field, in a sense, is frozen, right, Jill? As long as Trump hasn't ruled out a race, and now that Biden has said he's expecting to run in 2024, all these ambitious Republicans and Democrats who see the prize right in front of them, who look in the mirror every morning and see the next president of the United States, they can't do anything until the standard bearer for the party steps aside. So for now, while it may have frozen their plans, sort of, you can expect that the odds that predictive traders are assigning to these various nominees is going to be kind of interesting. For instance, for 2024, the predicted traders think Biden will be the nominee. He's at 39%, Harris at 36%. She dropped 3 points when Biden announced at his press conference, his first press conference, by the way, of his administration, that he was planning to run. Now, the next question is, will Trump file to run for re-election? Because, of course, they have to file with the Federal Election Commission. And for Trump to file, I would have thought that would have been a lock that he's going to file no matter what. But it's only 15% odds that Trump is going to file before the end of 2021. Then you turn to the question of who the nominee is going to be on the Republican side. And the traders give Trump 25% odds of being the nominee. Just like last week, they've got Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor. He's up now to 20%. So he's trailing Trump by 5 points. And then you've got Nikki Haley, Governor Nome, Ted Cruz, Mike Pence down at 6% odds that he will be the nominee for the Republican Party. We also have some interesting stats on the filibuster, but go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, because before we get into that, and I think I asked you this a couple of weeks ago, let's say Trump decides he doesn't want to file until 2022 or a little bit farther out, and the Republican side of the aisle is kind of has things in motion where they're getting behind a particular candidate. Now, Trump, for better or for worse, he kind of, lives by his own rules. What if he decides that, I am going to go ahead and file, and let's say DeSantis is in the front run for the Republican candidate, that could switch things on a dime. I mean, it has to be in the back of their heads, if I understand this correctly.
You understand exactly right, and you put it very well. So what's happening now is it is really a shadow boxing between the Republican nominee, potential Republican nominees, and Donald Trump. No one wants to take on the king on the Republican side. And that's likely to be the situation for some time to come. But presidential campaigns are expensive, they're complicated, it takes years to get organized. And so these candidates can be, and you have to have a nationwide organization. If you're Ron DeSantis, you have an excellent organization in Florida, but what have you got in California or elsewhere? So it takes a lot of fundraising and a lot of organizing, a lot of recruiting, hiring the right staff. It's critically important. So the inertia presented by the two frontrunners, President Biden, former President Trump, it actually harms the party's chances if they do not run and wait until the last minute to announce it.
That's true. But again, Trump kind of lives by his own rules, for better or for worse. And I realize it's chaotic, but in a way, it's really interesting to see how this could potentially play out, because at the end of the day, it could significantly split the Republican Party. I mean, that is a very real outcome.
Well, that's right. And you can expect there to be a lot of, this is not, these other candidates are not going to go quietly into the night. There will be primary challenges, certainly in terms of on the Republican side. There are going to be some primary challenges. Who's got the muscle to go up against the former president if he decides to run again? That's a good question. And then you've got this backdrop of so many interesting things happening in the Senate, right? With the filibuster. So what happens to the filibuster is going to be critically important to some of this legislation that's on the Biden agenda, such as infrastructure, and some of the votes that will follow. Senators, there are 10 senators, 10 Democrats, and 10 Republicans who've come together in this sort of bipartisan meeting or group who have the ability to push this over the top. And the question really is two things. First, will the filibuster last? The traders seem to think that it will last. They give only 27% odds to the chance that the filibuster will be a goner. And they think, and here's interesting, they think that Vice President Harris will cast a tie-breaking vote in the Senate 20% of the time. 20% of the odds are that she will cast a tie-breaking vote. She'll cast a tie-breaking vote 20 times or more, I should say, in this upcoming session. So that's a lot. And at 23% odds of that, that's the most popular bracket. She'll be spending a lot of time in the Senate.
It's a very interesting news cycle for sure. John, we appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks, Jill.